You know that old saying, right? That student debt is the one thing you can never, ever get away from, not even in bankruptcy? Well, what if that wasn't exactly true? Today, we're diving into a really surprising case where one borrower got a fresh start by completely wiping out more than $240,000 in student loans. Let's get into it. For so many people, federal student loan debt feels like this massive weight you're stuck with for life. It's just become common wisdom that you simply can't shake it, no matter how tough things get. But is that really the end of the story? And that really gets us to the heart of the matter. Can bankruptcy, the legal process that's literally designed to give people a financial do-over, actually work on federal student loans? For years, for almost everybody, the answer to that question has been a hard no. Seriously, the legal bar was set so incredibly high, it felt basically impossible to get over. But a pretty recent and surprising case out of Connecticut just might have changed the game. Yeah, this case is that exception to the rule we've all been told about. It proves that, under a very specific, very narrow set of circumstances, something we all thought was impossible, well, it might just be doable after all. Just look at that number for a second, $240,000. That's how much federal student loan debt was completely, totally erased for one person, all from a single court order. So let's break down the basics. We're talking about federal loans here. Yep, the exact kind everyone thinks are impossible to touch. The total was a life-altering amount, over $240,000. And just this past January, a court in Connecticut didn't just lower the debt. It approved a full 100% discharge. Gone. And just so you know where all this is coming from, it's straight from the source, a press release put out by Advocacy, which is the law firm that actually won this incredible case. So this is the big question, right? How on earth did they pull this off? The answer is really fascinating, mostly because it wasn't some huge dramatic courtroom battle. It was actually something a lot quieter. And this is where things get really smart. Look at the typical way on the left. It's absolutely grueling. You have to file what's called an adversary proceeding, which is basically a lawsuit inside of your bankruptcy case. It's a huge fight, it's expensive, and you could end up in a full-blown trial. But look at what this attorney did on the right. Instead of gearing up for a fight, they just submitted a super detailed sworn statement, an attestation, backed up with all the necessary documents. And the court just looked at the paperwork and basically said, yeah, this checks out. No trial necessary. Now, before anyone gets too excited, it's really, really important to understand this is not some magic key that unlocks the door for everybody. The lawyer who won this case, Dave Falvey, was actually really quick to manage expectations and point out some major caveats. His own words here really tell the story. He talks about careful statutory analysis. That's lawyer speak for digging into the exact specific wording of the law. And he says it applies to the specific facts of a person's situation. So this wasn't some clever loophole. It was about taking the law and applying it perfectly to one person's very unique, very difficult life story. And he really doubles down on that point here. He makes it crystal clear that getting this outcome is still incredibly difficult, and that this paperwork-based method is probably only going to work for a limited number of borrowers. He's essentially saying, look, this is a ray of hope, for sure, but it is not the floodgates opening up for everyone. Okay, so where does all this leave us? We've got this one single, absolutely stunning result that flies in the face of what everyone thought they knew about student debt. The really big question now is, what does this actually mean for the future? So what do you think this case is? Is it a 1 in a million thing, a total outlier that we'll probably never see again? Or is it maybe the first tiny crack in the dam, the beginning of a slow but really important shift in how our legal system looks at overwhelming student debt? The answer to that question is going to shape the financial future for millions of people. Thanks for tuning in.